Good morning and welcome to the Legit Real Estate Podcast. I am TJ Chofi. I'm here this morning with Holly Regoli. Good morning, Holly.
Good morning.
Looking gorgeous as usual. What do you got today? Busy day? We on the road today or what?
It's actually not too bad. I think I'm gonna try to take today as a day to catch up on paperwork, and then the evening is all kid stuff, picking up my daughter's dance pictures. We were supposed to have a scout camp out this weekend, but it's supposed to rain tomorrow, so we're having a fire instead. So
It's supposed to be nice out today.
it is. It is. So I'm gonna try to get myself to do paperwork instead of going out and doing all the stuff I want to do in my yard.
I have so much yard work to do. And I was
Hmm.
supposed to start like as soon as I got the kids home. And then you texted me on the ride and I was like, oh shit, I forgot we moved it to Friday because like I got rakes and bags. I have so much to do. The crows. I last year was the first year in my life we didn't treat for grubs. And the crows came and literally dug up half my lawn because they were getting the grubs. And when I tell you, I'll send you a picture later of the damage that these damn crows did. They dug up my
Crows
lawn.
do that?
Yeah,
I've heard of skunks doing that. I didn't know crows did that.
black, scary looking Stephen King crows.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'll send you pictures. It's unbelievable what they did.
That's
Unbelievable amount of
nuts.
damage.
I
So
have a half my yard. I started doing fall cleanup last year. Well, actually, I was going to have landscapers come, but then my son got punished and he had to do the work. But then he didn't finish the work, so I started doing it. And our fall cleanup is still half in piles in the yard. And now all the new stuff is coming up, and I'm like, we really, really need to get this taken care of. There's so much stuff I got to do out there.
and today's nice, but then the weekend is going to be rained.
Yeah, I actually
Or
had my son set aside because I was supposed to be camping. I'm like, I'm camping with the girls. You have all day tomorrow. I'm like, I'll pay you. You got to do the cleanup. And then I was like, oh, it's gonna rain. So,
wash out. Well, anyway, I want to talk to you about something that has to do. It's a personal story, but it has to do with investors and like rookie investors. Okay.
hmm.
So about a year ago, a home smart agent invited me to go to a property, and I thought I was going to look at this property so I could buy it and flip it. Okay. Go
Hmm.
to the property, massive house in Cranston, like massive. I'm talking two full levels that I think it was 6 bedrooms or whatever. Big project. Talking to the owner's whatever. The daughter is coming up from Virginia. The daughter is the decision maker. The daughter knows everything. She's a know-it-all. She's got a PhD.
Mm.
This is 10 words when 2 words will do. She's one of those types.
Yep.
Daughter tells me that I'm not there to buy the house. I'm just there to tell her what it's worth when it's finished.
What it's worth when it's finished. Okay.
So I spend all this time there with my notebook saying, I'm making notes like how much it's going to cost. I need 2 dishwashers. I need 2 stoves. I need this amount. I'm going to have to demo this wall. I'm there for an hour. She shows up telling me, no, no, that's not what I'm there for. I'm there to give her fair market value price when it's done.
Okay.
Okay. She tells me she's going to keep the house, never flipped the house before, never been to Rhode Island before, probably. She's going to flip the house because she's going to make a lot of money on this house. Her cousin's brother's friend has a white van and he's the contractor and he's going to flip this house. Okay. So I try and tell her, and when you're advising somebody, but it's like to my benefit. So it doesn't sound sincere. I'm like, look, you don't know what you're in for.
Hmm.
This is a project. That whole deck has to come down. Lumber is high. Like you don't understand
And
how
she lives in Virginia?
yeah, yeah. She's and I'm trying to warn her about the pitfalls that are going to come with this project, especially when you got like Tweedledee and Tweedledum in the van doing all the work.
Yeah, and let's
Like,
remind everyone, we live in Rhode Island. Cranston is in Rhode Island. So this person is coming
yes,
from lives in Virginia and is planning
is in
to
Virginia.
manage the project from Virginia.
Correct. Now, she has no money. So she's using hard money to buy this house in order to flip it. Boom, boom, boom. Long story short, I don't get the deal. Nothing happens for a year. I totally forget about it. Guess who calls me last week? This woman asking me to borrow $30,000
To borrow $30,000 a year after she's already been in a
a
hard
year
money loan.
after. And she gave me the whole story. Here's what happened. Her contractors couldn't finish the job. Her hard money, they're calling the note because they only want to lend their money out. This is not a 30-year note. When you borrow hard money, it's usually 10 months. They gave her 12. She doesn't have enough money to finish the job. She needs about $30,000 more in order to finish the house so she can make her imaginary $1 million that she's going to make on this deal. Of course, I can't do that
No, that's
because I'm going to be in the second position. It's going to get foreclosed on.
yeah.
So, anyway, the reason I'm telling you this story is because I want to know what your approach is when you have an investor that's about to do something stupid that you know they can't do. Because I knew this woman did not have that. She didn't have the team, she didn't have the money, and she's 15 hours away. And I'm like, this is going to end bad. Whole year later, she calls me up. This is going to end bad. The hard money lender is about to foreclose on this house.
I have absolutely had investors make decisions that were not the wisest decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and they learned very hard lessons. Um, you advise them the best you can, but in the end, they're the ones that make the decisions. As long as they don't blame you for it. I mean, I have had people that I'm like, this isn't going to work. This is how, and I try to tell them, at least like I lay it all out, this is the situation. I did have investors. I absolutely love them. They're great people. I was selling a house in Connecticut and we were under contract and it was a cash sale. We were getting ready to close. And when they ran the title, they're like, well, there's open permits on the property. And the buyer's like, I'm not closing with open permits on the property. So I told my client, I'm like, why don't we just try to give them a concession to deal with the open permits, and then we'll be closed tomorrow and we're good. We can move on.
Mm-hmm.
And my client offered him like $1,000 or maybe $1,500. I'm like, even if it's five, maybe even $10,000, you're done, you're closed, we're gone. He's like, nope, you know what? If it falls through, he's like, I'll just take it off the market and I'll do the work myself. Now, mind you,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't know what was going to happen when we took it off the market and he was going to do it himself. It went into winter and the pipes froze and burst. And then like it dragged on another year and a half. We were with another buyer. Unfortunately, the amount of money that they lost was well over what he could have if he had just given him a bigger concession. But he realized that, like they live, they learn, they're amazing investors and they're very resilient and stuff. But it just sucks when you see them in that position and you're like, but if you just do this, but you're not the one that makes that decision, and you don't know it's not the right
It's,
thing
and
until.
I think it's harder. In this case, it was harder because I was the one that was going to profit from it. Because basically, I was telling them, find out what you can get it for, add 30 grand to it, so you could walk out of here, go back to Virginia with your 30 grand.
Hmm.
But she saw sunshine and rainbows. Like she saw me making 200 grand,
Hmm.
and that wasn't going to fly. So I think that hurts. I mean, she did have representation who was telling her the same thing, allegedly. I'm not quite
Hmm.
sure. We can talk about that offline, but um, now this lady's bankrupt. Like
Hmm.
she's gonna lose the house. She spent all of her money. Like she's done. She's not just done in the real estate game. Like she's just like got to start over. Like she's 25 years old,
Hmm.
and it's sad. Like it's sad. It really it's sad to see. I mean, I thought there was some nerve to call me asking for a loan, but it really is. It really is sad to see an inexperienced investor who really doesn't know anything take the beating. And the other thing that was coming into play is when you don't know a market. Like Cranston is not just Cranston, right? Like Alpine Estates, you're getting $800,000, but you could be out off Cranston Street and you're getting $300,000.
Hmm.
Like Cranston has pockets,
Yeah.
so she was bringing her agent like comps from the other side of Cranston that were just not applicable.
Hmm.
So in her head, this house is worth 700. In my head, it's worth like five and a quarter.
What part of Cranston
And
was it
now
in?
she's trying to Budlong.
Oh yeah, I know exactly where that is.
Yeah, and I mean it's a big house. It's just the neighborhood's not gonna give you that. And now to watch her try and chase, because in her head she probably already borrowed against the 300,000 she was gonna make in her mind.
Hmm.
Like when you know you got money coming in, you spend a little bit extra. Like if you have
Hmm.
you got a big closing coming up on Friday, like Tuesday doesn't matter if we go out to dinner and like
Yeah.
pay for the next couple. It's whatever it is. It's that's how your brain works. But anyway, it was sad. It was sad to see, and I've seen investors like they have these grand plans about getting in a business, and then it's just not that easy. Like
No,
it's just not that easy.
it's not just investors though. I actually have a client right now that I'm trying to help that's in a really tough situation. And I'm trying to give them multiple options of what's going to be best. I'm like, and I'm really like, I'm scrubbing the numbers and I'm looking at things and I'm like, I really think it's, because the house is getting ready to go up to tax sale. I went down to the town. I got the dates for everything that things need to get paid off. I got her a lender. It's an expensive lender, but I'm like, but if you just get this loan, it'll give us like the opportunity to like do what we need to do, find you another place, get you somewhere else, get the house cleaned up and sell it. And then that way you'll have the ability to then take the proceeds from that because she doesn't have a mortgage on the house, but I cannot the idea of seeing her lose it to a tax sale or all the other bills and stuff like that are outstanding or liens against the house. I'm like, let's get this stuff cleared up. And I'm trying, but it's difficult because she's in a very difficult position and it's a very difficult decision for her to make. But unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of time. I mean, when the tax sale, I know once
Tax
they
sales
purchase it with tax sale, you have a year, but
are
still.
still.
It won't be easy if her utilities get shut off for us to show the house.
How's
You
she going to
know,
pay a mortgage? Obviously, she's not doing well
she
financially.
doesn't have a mortgage. She doesn't need,
Right, but
she'll
you
have
said
enough
if to
cash.
take out, you said you were going to take out a mortgage in order to pay.
Not a mortgage because she wouldn't be able to get that. It'd be hard money. But even though it's hard money and it's expensive, I was like, it to me is the solution that's going to work best because it's a short term. You're paying this higher interest, but you're able to clean up all these other things you're going to have to pay interest on anyway. And then you don't have to deal with
Right.
lien after, and it'll help raise her credit, right? Because the other, this isn't against her credit, but all the other stuff is against her credit. And I'm really trying, but it's really tough when you can't get someone like I kind of got her to see it, but then she's not sure. I gave her the lender and she wasn't, and then she didn't call her. So I'm actually supposed to meet with her and the lender soon so we can try to figure it out. I mean, I could come in and say, listen, I'll buy the house from you cash. You can stay there a couple months until, but I don't like doing that because if I'm doing it cash, I'm not offering her what she can get on the market. And I know
Mm,
she can get a lot more on the market. So in this kind of situation, she's in a situation where I want to get her the most money possible to put her in a better situation. There are people
mm.
that I'll give them both options. I'll say, listen, I can buy it from you cash. You can walk away. Here's what you have now. Or I
Utilize
can
that.
put it
Yeah.
on the market. Yeah.
Yep.
But when they see you
They
benefiting from it, it's like I feel shady if I'm not 100% honest. Listen, you can get this much on the market if you do X, Y, and Z, and I'll help you
I,
get there.
yeah. I always tell them, but that happens when you're going on a listing appointment. They have you come in there to list the house. But sometimes they give you a story and they're like, I don't know how this person's going to get all this stuff out of here. This is a bad situation. And you're like, well, I can do you a favor.
Hmm.
But then it's like, well, that's not really why you're here, you know? It's
Yeah,
almost better. It's almost better if I go to your client's house. That makes it easier because now it's like,
y-
well, this guy wants to buy it
yeah.
for this.
But I try to be honest. I give them all the options, and I really haven't had anybody say, "Yeah, I'd rather have you buy it for that much less than you help me do the work, and we'll get it on the market."
One time happened to me one time where the guy was like, no, I just want to be done.
Yeah,
It was his mom's house. It was like 160,000. I sold it for like 375.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a good one. In terms of buyers, have you been in a situation where you were trying to talk a buyer out of buying a house because you knew they weren't going to be able to pay the mortgage?
I think I have been there. Or for whatever reason or other. Yeah, because people dream, they see these big houses, and then they don't realize that it's not just the house they have to pay. They have to pay the mortgage, the taxes, the insurance. They have to pay their gas, they have to pay their electricity. And sometimes the lenders will say, "Oh, look, you can afford this of a house." But I'm like, find out what your monthly payment is first, and then let's factor in all these other things because you don't want to get stuck.
And one thing that mistake that people make, and I had this conversation yesterday, a guy was bitching about his bills. When you go up in house, your electric bill, if you're in a two-bedroom apartment, you and a guy are in a two-bedroom apartment, the electric bill is 225. When you go buy a 3,000 square foot house, guess what? Your electric bill is not going to be 225 anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's 475, and it's like sticker shock because in
Mm-hmm.
their head, well, the electric's no big deal. Um, we lived in a house the house we had before here, water bill $30. Like everything was cheap. Now I got irrigation all summer, and my water bill is like 150.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have people that are like right on the line of being able to afford their house, and you explain that to them, sometimes they don't want to hear that news because everyone feels like they can do it until they call you back in
Yeah.
a year. They're like house poor.
Yeah. It's sad. Well, and that's kind of the case with this other person. Like, she had bought one of my clients' houses a couple years ago, but she had bought it cash because she had money from a settlement. But she had moved from an apartment and wasn't used to bills and got scammed by solar people. Like they came in and put the solar on, and it's same company that got me, and it's so frustrating to see. But all these other bills and stuff added up, and and just one thing tumbled after the other. And I was like, I don't want to see her lose the house or lose the ability to have a house. So I'm trying to help her in any way I can, but it's hard.
And then you have the maintenance that tenants don't have to pay for. Like you have to do things. You got to get your siding power washed every now and then. You're gonna have to get a boiler. You're gonna have to get a hot water tank every few years. And the lenders, as rates go up, or when the rates went up, I feel like the lenders weren't doing a good enough job about factoring in the other expenses. When rates were 3%, everybody could afford everything.
Hmm.
But now, I mean, I'm selling a house right now for 460,000. The guy's mortgage is going to be like $3,700 a month.
I still
Like
can't fathom that.
I
I
know.
can't because when we like my mortgage with taxes and insurance is like $1,800 a month, right? I can't imagine I don't think we could afford a current mortgage now based on our income.
Oh,
Like,
you could. Most people that bought their houses when we did, like, you just can't buy your own house. I couldn't buy my house again right now.
mm-mm,
If my house was on the market, I wouldn't be able to afford this thing. It'd be like five
no.
grand a month.
Yeah. I
And my maintenance,
it's
I think, I don't know, 2,300 or something like that.
yeah,
And it would
it's
easily double. And I'm watching these people, and I'm like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, are you
yeah.
sure? And the lenders are kind of working against us. I don't know if they're working for the clients or working to make sales because, well, when rates come down, yeah, if when you don't know how far they're going.
And
Some
then
tells me they're going back to three.
if you refinance, because I was kind of in that situation a couple of years ago where when the rates were super low, I kept going to my friend. I think I've told you before, I'm a loan officer and I was with my friend's brokerage for a little bit. I trust her with everything. And I was like, can I refinance? And she's like, no, the numbers, she's like, the rates may be low. She's like, but you're going to have to pay 5 grand for closing costs. And she's like, and the return on investment of what you're spending on the closing costs isn't going to help you. Like, because my rate right now, what it is my mortgage rate is like 3.2, but I have a HELOC and I was trying to refinance out of the HELOC, which kept going up. So now it's at like 8 point something percent. So I was trying to get that into like a lower rate altogether and put it all into a mortgage. And she's like, nope, with all the money you're going to pay out of pocket, it's not going to work out. So it's not always going to work out. And people have to have cash if they're going to refi a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, but you can't just debate on depend on that. That's why we have to tell our clients, all right, what is your mortgage going to be? What are your other expenses? They're not aware of that, especially first-time home buyers.
I'll tell you, there was a long time where I didn't even discuss financing with buyers. Like that's the lender's job. I stay in my lane. I'll make sure you get the right value for the house that you want. I'll negotiate. I'll do my part. But as since rates went up, I find myself having that conversation more and more. Like,
Hmm.
I don't want to see this happen to you. Like, I'm looking at numbers on CDs, and I'm like, holy shit! Like what you're paying for
Hmm.
that house, and yet you have to advise. The investors I have a little less sympathy for because they kind of know what they're getting into, and they don't really care about rates. They're not sensitive to that because
Hmm.
everything's happening fast. But to drag it back to that first lady, like she didn't realize she was going to be borrowing that money and like still paying interest. Like the interest is due every month,
Hmm.
and it was just bleeding her. It was bleeding her, and she, of course, nothing goes towards principal at all.
Mm-mm.
It's just getting smashed. Anyway, I have a am I an asshole? I got two of them.
Okay, I want to hear
I got
them.
a mortgage one and I got a real estate one. Which one do you want?
Well, I want both of them. Let's do real estate first.
All right, just in case we run out of time. All right. My husband and I have had our house on the market 2022. Damn. It's been a dumpster fire of things that prevented us from closing. We found a new house we like. We put an offer on it. There's a wall that's shared by the kitchen and the laundry room. It had some bubbling. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The realtor, the seller's realtor, provided a copy of an inspection, but they decided to get their own inspection. Good move.
Mm-hmm.
They had their own inspection. After the inspection concluded, that wall that is in the middle was determined to have either water damage or termites.
Oh.
So the buyer goes to her agent and says, um, this is a problem. We want to have it tested for termites or water damage. Her agent tells her, she then proceeds to tell me that she and the seller were aware of the termites.
What?
They had someone come out to look at and repair the wall, and the termite guy had already given an estimate. So this buyer wants to know if she's the asshole for being mad at her agent who did not disclose to her that there was live termites in the house.
No, her agent should be fired.
Fired immediately.
Fired. This is the buyer's agent that knew with
The
the seller
buyer's
that there had
agent
been stuff.
knew that there were termites in the wall. The seller's agent and the buyer's agent had already discussed it, but no one told the buyer.
Where are the disclosures? Where is that in the disclosures? If you
It's
know about this,
apparently, and there's no mention of it, but I'm guessing it's not because this guy's mad that he spent money on his own inspection. If they already knew there were termites, he would have walked right there. He wants his agent to give him $600 back.
I agree.
I agree too.
If you know about that, you're there for your client. You have a responsibility to your client.
You do.
Unless what I'm wondering though, like it was definitely his buyer's agent. And it wasn't the listing
Yeah.
agent, like and he wasn't unrepresented,
No,
right?
it's the buyer's agent because later on it says she as he was yelling at his agent, she proceeded to go into how she's busted her butt on getting his house sold and how his listing was the most difficult she's ever had. And she doesn't have time to go over every single little thing about the houses they're buying.
Oh my God.
She
That's a
also
big
told me that
thing.
she also told me that quote, most people don't give a shit about termites. Hello.
Oh my
I wish they
God.
I wish they were naming names. First of all, I've never met anybody that did not give a shit about termites. Like termites are bad.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So this guy is I think we agree this guy is not the asshole for being
No, but his
upset.
agent is.
His agent is. The comments all say fire her. All of them.
Hmm.
All of them. Every single
That
one.
is one screwed up agent.
Yeah. Like you can't be you can I guess in Massachusetts, well, in every place, not just Massachusetts, someone's quoting the code of ethics. We have to be truthful, but that doesn't mean
Yeah.
that you can't. Being truthful does not mean that. This is why I don't go to home inspections on listings. I just don't go because if I don't know, I don't know. But if I do know, I do know.
When
So
it's
when it's
your
my
own
listing,
listing is what you're saying, right?
any listing,
Well, for
yeah,
your
my listing
buyer,
for buyers, yeah.
yeah, for your
But if
buyer, you want to be there.
if I'm the listing agent, I don't want to know every little thing because an inspector is going to walk around and point every defect out, and now I have an obligation to tell people. If I just sit in the car and when they come out, what's big? I just want to know what we're going to talk about. I don't need to
Hmm.
know if there's like reverse polarity in the bathroom because in case I need a new buyer, I don't want to tell them that there's. I don't want to have to tell them what's going on in the bathroom.
Yeah, I used
Is
to
my
go like on my own listing appointments, I used to follow the inspector around. And then I was like, then I don't know if it was you or someone else that told me, like, oh God, no. Because then now when you're told all this stuff, you have to like disclose it. I kind of just stay back and make sure they're good with whatever they need and then ask them whatever the big stuff is and go over it. Cause yeah, I don't want to know.
so when they come outside, would you get? I don't want to know every little thing because I'm going to have to tell. Now, as a buyer agent, it's the opposite. I want to know everything,
Hmm.
right? So at this point, I've been to so many inspections that I feel like I could be a damn inspector. So but I want to make sure that I have all the information so that I'm not going to, if I know there's termite damage and the inspector misses it, I'm still telling my buyer it's termite damage.
Hmm.
Like I'm not going to let someone just get porked like that lady did.
Oh, and then you have
My
to pay the
lord,
extra money for the inspection. That's not right.
yeah, not cool.
Nope.
All right, here's one. This is good. I don't know how I ended up in this mortgage world because I was down here for like 15 minutes trying to find a good one. All right, ready? This guy's a 32-year-old male, and for the last 8 years, he's been paying his parents taxes and mortgage. What a nice son.
Mm.
They are retired and have very little savings because they put all their money into his sister's and his education. His
Mm-hmm.
sister is 29. We both went to top universities and got good jobs. I felt like I owed my parents for all they sacrificed, so it was a no brainer to help them retire with no stress. My parents did not consult my sister about splitting these costs with me. Instead, the agreement was that I would get a larger share of the house when it was sold or they died.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fast forward to now, this is 8 years ago, they started doing this. The guy's been paying 8 years on his parents. Now, my sister lost her job and as a result doesn't have any money. She moved in with my parents to save money. I recently found out that my sister is going to stay permanently at my parents' house. I'm
Permanently.
furious at this because I'd been paying for the house with the understanding that it would be sold and I would get a larger share. It is very likely my sister never sells the house and instead lives there and raises her family. Because the original agreement with my parents changed, I stopped paying for the mortgage, leaving it up
Mm-hmm.
to my sister to take care of the house. His parents are furious with him, saying he's too money obsessed and greedy, and he should continue to pay for the house because his sister is in a tough spot.
Oh my God.
instead, instead they're promising that eventually my sister will pay me out for the share of the house plus whatever else over 8 years. I turned that offer down because there's no guarantee it will happen, and I don't trust my sister to follow through financially. Am I the asshole for taking a cynical stance and leaving my family in financial stress?
So I think
No,
she's a
right?
no, I don't think he's the asshole. I think it could be handled a little differently. I think she's to grow up and get off her ass and get a job. She can't just like okay, you're down on luck, you lose your job, whatever, but get back on your feet and make something of yourself. Like you lose a job, you get another job. It's not that hard,
You're 29.
but
She's
he
29.
could,
It's not hard.
huh? What was that you said?
I mean, she's 29. It's not like she's 69. She's 29 years old. Go get a job.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that they could do is he could do some kind of a written agreement with her that is legal and say, listen, I'll keep doing this for this period of time. This is what I expect because now he's lost everything that he's put into it thus far, and he has risks them losing their house and stuff.
That was one of the
So
comments.
there could be a possibility of doing some kind of agreement with them. But if he already knows if she's got a bad reputation, I mean, some people are just losers and can't get their shit together. So maybe he already knows that.
And the problem he's got two problems. My first thought was why aren't you on the deed? But apparently in California, if you put someone on the deed, they reassess the house and your taxes will double.
Really?
That Yeah, that was written in there. But the other thing is, it sucks to go into contracts with your family. Like that's really a hard thing to do. But in this case, you got 8 years in. If it goes into foreclosure, your 8 years of payments like out the window,
Yeah.
like just out the window. This is going to end bad. I don't want to be the on the list side when this thing goes up in about 15 years.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, there's other ways around it. I would try to tie it to an agreement because then if she does screw you over, you have a legal document and you can foreclose on them. And, rather than
Mm-hmm.
somebody else taking the house that you've put all that money into, you take the house and then you do something with it. It sucks for the whole family matter, but either way, it's going to suck because if you give up on paying it, that's going to cause a wedge in the family anyway. And then they could potentially lose the house to somebody else that nobody has it.
Imagine that you do something nice. You try and do something nice for your parents. Your sister takes advantage, and now everyone's screwed.
Yeah. But I see that all the time. People are just such scumbags. I
It's
don't know.
the worst. Like when you get into probate sales and you see people fighting over mom and dad's like $5,000 in equity, and they're just brutal to each other.
Hmm.
It's the worst, man. You gotta have some kind of plan in place. This guy was trying to do the right thing, but what he didn't do is put the mortgage in his name. He didn't put the house in his name. Like he should have taken over the house, is what he should have
Yeah,
done. Like
exactly.
that's the way to do it. Now, in that situation, if that were my father, I'd say, Dad, I'm gonna buy the house off you.
Yep.
You stay, and then I'll disperse whatever according to your wishes when it's done.
Yeah.
because now the sister's entitled to half of it. No, it doesn't matter if he paid for 8 years, 10 years, or 30 years. That
Yeah.
sister's entitled to half of the thing when it sells, and there's nothing they can do about it. This
Yeah.
guy's screwed.
No, yeah, I think if he's putting all that money into it, there should have been something set up ahead of time. Like we actually, my father-in-law's house is in my husband's name because when my mother-in-law passed away, we had learned that, hey, if she would have had to go into a nursing home, they could have like had a lien on their house and
Yeah.
all this stuff. So we put it into his name, my husband's name years ago, so that there's no issues with it. But my husband knows, like, when we sell that house, when the time comes, like, he's giving half of the stuff to his brother. Like, but if we had expenses on that house, we would work it out with him ahead of time and say, hey, by the way, this is what we have going on. Like, if we're putting money into it, this is what we need to get out of it.
You want to give me half the money now, or do you want me to take it off the top later?
Exactly, exactly. Because,
You
well,
know,
you know, what we have to
no.
deal with is that because it's in my husband's name, we're going to have capital gains taxes that we're going to be responsible for, but he will not. So that's something we'll have to work out of like when things get split and stuff down the line. But
They get along well about this topic. Is this going to be easy for them to do?
I think it'll be fine because I mean, I have no clue. Nothing really, you never know how things are going to be until until the
Till
shit
it,
hits the fan and somebody
yeah.
passes away. But like we try not to think about that because we want everybody to be happy and healthy and stuff. But when the time comes, we just lay out the numbers. They are what they are. But I think about it like I can't picture with my brother if anything were to happen, like it's like it is what it is. You be as fair as you can, but there's so much crap that happens between families that are just so stupid.
Everybody doesn't end up in the same place when that time comes. So you have some people. I mean, I have 8 brothers and sisters, right? There's 8 of us. Well, 7 now, but like some of us make money, some of us make more money, some of us make no money. So the ones who don't make any money feel like they should get more of the pie because they need it more. Like you see that, I
Really?
see that. Yeah, I see that happen a lot. Where like, well, why do you need X amount when you're good? If I had X amount, I could buy a car. It's like that kind of
Oh,
conversation.
that's crappy way to think though. But
That
that's
actually
hence.
happened with my grandfather and his brother when my great grandmother died. My uncle Buddy, like he wanted to sell the house quick, and because he didn't really need every dollar out of it. My grandfather needed the money, and Uncle Buddy didn't. But Buddy like sold it quick. Everything was a rush. Like, how fast can I get my money? And my grandfather was like, we should be like making some repairs and getting as much as we can. I mean, houses were
Mhm.
going for 80,000 back then, but he still tells the stories how he still resents him for it.
Yeah. No, and that's a shitty way to think. But that's why people are in the positions where they don't make a decent amount of money or they're in a tough spot because that's their mentality. Like I have family members, I remember growing up, anytime they would get their taxes in, let's go out to eat, let's go do this, and it was gone. Like gone. Just like that, gone. It's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, you have to have some kind of control. And just because you don't and you're in a lower financial position doesn't
And
entitle
it's
you to more.
just that, right? So you give them more, they blow it. All that does is give them an extra time to blow it because it's going to be going anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so my father gave me 20 grand. I probably go on vacation and give the kids the rest for their freaking college fund. Where if you give it to like my brother, that's going by Monday.
Hmm.
It's just that's the way it's going to be. And that's like just how people are. And it's in this situation with this guy. Is he the asshole? No, but he's about to get taken for a ride.
Yeah, no, it just sucks that he doesn't have things set up quite right. He was so nice of him to do what he was doing for his parents, but now it's just going to slap him in the face and all the money he poured into that. He's now going to lose everything if he just lets them lose it to foreclosure. But
I
understand the
dread my
tough love. I understand the tough
Yeah,
love, right?
yeah. At this point, like I'm not going to pay for my one thing to pay for my elderly parents who put me through college. I'm not paying for my deadbeat sister on top of it,
Hmm. And her family.
right? And this is the this, I hate to think of it. I hope my kids don't fight over my stuff when I'm dead. I really don't.
No.
I
I I listen to too many uh morbid kind of podcasts and stuff, and I hear of so many like kids that kill their parents over their inheritance and stuff, and I'm like, I don't want my kids to know that they have all this stuff. Like, I mean, you think about it, everything we do for our kids. Like everything
Right.
that I'm building, every property I buy, every bit of savings and stuff like that is so that my kids can have a better life and so that they have something for the future. But then there's kids, I don't know, there's just too many crazy stories out there. I want my kid but the other thing too is I don't want my kids to expect that is there. I want them to work hard on their own so that they have something they built for themselves. But
You know, I just like my kids to have enough rental income when they like graduate that they can do what they want to do and not what they have to do. Like
exactly.
I had to do some bullshit. I had to do some bullshit just to have money in my pocket. And like I hope that they are like, okay, money's not an issue. What do I want to be?
Yeah.
And that's that there's like opportunities that I let pass by because I was like one of the youngest college basketball coaches in the entire country.
Really?
And yeah, and then it was like, well, I can't make a living on this.
Yeah.
I had to I had to give that up. Like if my kid wants to go be a coach and make 5 grand a year for 10 years until he gets a break, then go do it. Like that's
Hmm.
kind of where I'm at. We've only got 2 minutes left. Um, you got anything you want to say?
I
I
do.
can't
I
believe that.
want more guests. I guess we got to be a little bit more aggressive. I'm gonna start calling people and getting people lined up for guests because I like talking about real estate. I think we come up with some, interesting topics and go on in conversation. Like it's fun today. I didn't even know what we were talking about until we started our call. But I love
Yeah,
having
so
guests on because I want some more crazy stories and stuff. So if you want to come on our show, please reach out. We are where's our email? The Legit Real Estate Podcast at gmail.com. We are on, I think, all the platforms. So anywhere you can get your podcasts. We're on YouTube. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook and maybe Instagram. I don't know. I'm trying to put us everywhere. I got to get better at
everywhere.
posting everything.
Spotify. That's the one. Spotify.
Spotify and
So many places.
iTunes or yeah.
There's so many places to get content now. It really is cool.
Oh, Amazon Music. I listen to the podcast on Amazon Music too.
Yeah.
So we're everywhere. So, reach out if you want to come on the show and please like, subscribe, listen, all that great stuff. You could rate the show. That'll get us put out there more so more people can see us and we can do more fun
Share the damn
stuff.
thing, people. I'm
Yes,
going back
yes.
to social media just to make people share my podcast.
There you go. I can't tag you unless you're there. So
I know. I listen. I gotta be off for a while. I'm waiting for this job. I'm
I
waiting for
know,
this
and you're a
coaching
little
job.
aggressive with your social media. So,
Not everybody sees things from my point of view, so I want to make sure I don't want to give them an excuse. Holly, you have a great week. I'll talk to you next week.
all right, you too. Bye.